Hello, Warhammer fans! It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight. Talking about Age of Sigmar and everything else that is cool. Talking about Warhammer Fantasy, it's easy to learn the rules. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show on a Tuesday night. It's the Andy and Remington Steel Show for your home delight.
Yes, sir.
Hi, folks. It's the Andy and Rem Show, episode 61.
Remington.
I do need a really impactful catchphrase. I'm not sure if dishlicious or anything like that really has the right kind of oomph that I need. So I'm going to put that to the audience at some point, I think. I need a catchphrase that has a bit of impact behind it. Something like Remington, but obviously not Remington and way better than Remington. So, folks, as far as Age of Sigmar news goes this week, it's not been very eventful, has it? But fear not, because we've crafted some of our own extra juicy topics for discussion tonight. But before we get to that, let's have a look who's in this packed house, shall we? Because the chat has been running wild. It's been like a rampant herd of wildebeest in there for the last couple of hours. We've got Bazooka J. Rambo, Darkbeard 89, which sounds menacing until you hear 89 and you think, I wonder if that's their birth year, so they're not like a grizzly old sea captain or anything. Fluffy Dread, Gloom Dready Gaming, the double Dread action there. Graham Rigg, Greater Demon of Nurgle in the house.
Ooh.
Well, it's an honour. I wondered what that smell was. I thought that was Remington again. We've also got James McPherson, Lee Cunningham, Matthias Schaefer, Mickey Jenber, Neolink Theragenix. I'll assume I got that correct. Retropia TV, Slackdorf, Time for the Serra Fun, and I'm sure a couple of other people have dropped in as I was reading that. Oh, there's Gary Waddingham and Raphael Marge and Peter Higgins and Rue Hark. So, as I said, packed house. Mr. Remington, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm great, man. I've just come back from band practice, so that's why my voice is on fire tonight. But a nice little warm-up. Usually, I'm singing to you all just after like a marathon gaming day of XCOM or Ages of Empires.
So you're saying that your entire music career is just a warm-up for your performances on this show?
Yeah, of course. Of course it is. How are you doing, everyone? You're right. We've got a very special What the Hell Is That tonight? And it's inspired by some random $1 million ideas that pop into my head quite regularly. But I'd like to share them with you all. And if you know what I'm talking about, then you'll know that it's going to be amazing. If you don't know, then I'm going to inspire you with how to start an Age of Sigmar or an 8th edition or a 9th edition, 9th Age Battle Army collection on a budget. Yes. For less than a $5, you could have a whole army and you don't even have to paint it.
Well, we're all waiting with bated breath for that. So, before we look at our first item for the evening, I did notice that a couple of other people just dropped into the chat, including the Soul Assassin and Lady Phoenix, who we haven't seen for a while, so hello to them. Now then, let's go to our first little topic here, because there aren't any new Age of Sigmar releases on the Games Workshop website, but there are a couple of Forgeworld items to sink our fangs into. So let's have a look here, first of all. Now, I believe this is the new model here, and then this selection here, I think he is the only new one in it, and the rest are just part of the bundle. So let's have a look at him, shall we? Shartor the Executioner. It sounds like a really unfortunate name, doesn't it?
Shartor.
Yes, so let's... Oh, we've got the 360. Now, obviously, he's some kind of big, gigantic bull centaur. So let's have a look at him spinning away. Look at that automatic spin.
Try up and down as well.
Oh,
Hey,
yes.
see?
There you go.
I just found that out recently. What do you think? I'm not
You
sure.
can't see the underside of his base, though.
Yeah, not sure about his little stubby legs. They look
Well,
pretty
it
big.
kind of makes sense. If you look at a bull, they don't necessarily have the longest legs for their body mass, do they?
His torso's been like poured out. He's good. Let's look at his face. Close look. Can't really see it. He's got a big helmet on.
Well, let's have a look at one of these close-ups, shall we? Here's some nice close-ups of his face. There you go. What do you think of that?
Right. I can't see it. Don't know. Has he got one eye? Two eyes?
It looks like he's got two eyes, but I can't be sure.
Right. I thought you were going to go for the new Famir models, which I'm very excited about.
Aha! Well, we're going to get to that in a second.
But yeah, cool, man. So yeah, plenty of bull centaurs.
I mean, what do you think of the whole Chaos Dwarf range in general? Is there ever
Love it.
something that's tempted you?
Yeah, it has, but I resisted. I'm not that keen on painting fully armored people models. And the Chaos Dwarf is covered in armor.
I've been more tempted to go for an army like this ever since I discovered using the Games Workshop technical paints to create rust effects.
Oh, well, that's good, yeah.
Yeah, I think they would look really nice on Chaos Dwarfs. But obviously the price is a little bit prohibitive.
They're very expensive. But you've got to remember, you can sell them at least for what you bought them for. So it's kind of like an investment, isn't it? If you paint them well,
a huge amount of them for Age of Sigmar either.
No, you paint them well, you can sell them for even more if that day ever comes. But I like the Chaos Dwarf heroes. They look amazing, and the war machines are great as well. But the heroes are very, I don't know if everyone's probably seen them already, but the faces look amazing.
If anyone in the audience has any of these Forgeworld Chaos Dwarves, let us know what you think of them. Or if you've played them in Age of Sigmar, that'd be even better. Now, you can see him size-wise compared to a normal Chaos Dwarf here. So for £70, that's like the kind of Star Drake price, isn't it? And size-wise, it obviously doesn't measure up to one of those really big plastic kits. So,
what do you think this is like? Have you looked at his war scroll?
This guy, I'm not sure if he has one yet. If he does, we'll find out any second. Let's see.
Well, yeah, I would imagine.
Does he have a war scroll? Oh, he does. Shall we go for it?
Yeah, quickly.
There we go. Bull Centaur Chartor the Executioner.
Only 8 wounds. 8 wounds for £70. God.
8 wounds. That's nearly £10 per wound almost. So he's got 4+ save, move 7 inches, and an axe with 5 attacks. He doesn't diminish in ability though because he's only got 8 wounds. So he's not like your huge monster type with -2 rend and 3 damage. So that is nice.
He's going to do 6 wounds every turn minimum, I'd say.
Yep, and I imagine he's going to be benefiting from some buffs as well, and he's got special abilities, so let's have a look at them. So Dark Tide Reaping. Every time you roll a 6 for your hits with the Dark Tide axe, immediately make another attack at the same target with the Dark Tide axe. So if we assume you'll get 1/6 probably per turn, then you're just going to get another bonus attack on top of that. But there's always a chance you could get more.
He could be putting out 9 to 12 damage easily, couldn't he? With the hoof attacks as well.
Trample and Gore. Charging Bull Centaurs slam into their enemies with Wild Rage. Chartor the Executioner's Crushing Hooves attacks are increased to 2 damage if he charged in the same turn. So that is quite a big difference there. Doubling the output of his Crushing Hooves when he charges. With movement 7, probably about half the time you're likely to be picking the charge, aren't you?
Yeah.
Not as fast as cavalry, but faster than infantry. Mask of the Executioner. Once per game, at the beginning of the charge phase, instead of conducting a charge, he can use the power of his Sacred Mask to exalt the name of Hashut. Roll 2d6 for the distance of the mask's effect in inches. All models with the Bahal keyword, I would assume that's probably all the Chaos Dwarves, or at the very least all of the Centaurs, in this range may re-roll their charge distances this charge phase. So that would include him as well, because he has that keyword.
Yeah.
So re-rolling that is pretty tasty, but it can only do that once per game. But really, you only need that once to close that big distance to the enemy, don't you? In addition, roll a d6 for each model from the enemy army within this range. For each result of a 4+, that model suffers a mortal wound. Ooh, that's a pretty tasty one. So you've got a decision to make there, haven't you? Do you use that ability when you're far away to boost your chance of getting in for the charge? Or do you use it when you're close to the enemy and just put mortal wounds on all their models?
But the problem is, Chaos Dwarves are just dwarves, so they're going to have a small movement range, and you'll find that these bull centaurs are going to be pulling away from your main block of warriors very, very quickly. So it's only really going to work for the other centaurs that are keeping up with your movement.
Okay, let's have a look at the Prayers of Malice. This is his command ability. So pick a unit from your army within 12 inches. For each wound or mortal wound suffered by that unit until your next hero phase, then they basically have a 6+ ward. So just a 6+ ward save basically on a unit of your choice. Okay. So it's okay. I was expecting something better from that command ability actually, but it's okay. Not too bad at all. Depending on what you've got in your army, I suppose. And a lot of the Chaos Dwarf stuff has decent armor, so they're going to be vulnerable to mortal wounds. So having a little extra save against those would be nice, wouldn't it? Right then, this is what you wanted to look at.
Oh, yeah.
The Famir Noble.
Now, this inspired me to look at the unofficial Famir Warhammer rules, which if you just type in Famir Army, you can find them really, really quickly, and they're free to read. And they're fascinating. It's a fascinating army. They're basically like, Famir are like evil swamp one-eyed creatures from what's called Britain now.
Albion.
Albion, that's it, yeah. And they only have one woman in the whole tribe. And female Famir are very, very rare. And they get killed off if there's already a matriarch in the tribe. And she's usually like, got a little bit of magic power, but she rules the roost, let's say. And at some point, she will allow one of the female Famir to not be killed, and she'll groom it to be her successor. Or they'll split off into two tribes. You got the basic Famir Warriors, and then you've got these nobles, and this is one of the nobles, because Forgeworld have made 3 basic Famir, so it looks like they're expanding it now with this this kind of hero character. They're kind of like mixture between, they're kind of like ogre kind of stats, 3 wounds, 3 attacks, that kind of thing. Fascinating army. I was really tempted to get myself some of these, and the destruction. So you could add them to your orc army or ogres.
You can see what it looks like here without the paint job on it, and it looks very clean, doesn't it? The Forgeworld sculpt here.
Yeah, you kind of want to turn that around so you see its face a bit more.
Yeah. Now people did actually see this at the Age of Sigmar day that was at the weekend. But we're not going to be talking much about that today because we're going to be talking to someone who was there and possibly picked up some little awards next week.
Wow.
So that'll be interesting for everyone. And I thought, while we're on the topic of Famirs, why don't we just have a quick look at their war scroll? This war scroll of the Famir Warriors, because I'm sure that's very exciting for you. As you said, they are destruction. So you could slap them in there with all your wonderful destruction forces until they add more. And after this, I think we should talk about what could be on the horizon as far as other Forgeworld releases go, because we've had a couple of suggestions in the comments, which I will get to shortly. But first of all, 3 wounds each. So they're not huge. 4+ save, move 6. You have to have 3 of them in the unit. And their weapons, let's see, because they're armed with double-handed mauls or single-handed maces and curving hatches, held in one each hand. So the hand weapons or the maul, one or the other, and then they'll both have the club tail, which is just a little extra bonus one there. And these look quite similar, apart from the maul has a higher range. It has slightly better to wound and more rend. So we're going to have to look and see what the bonus is for having the hand weapons here. And I'm going to assume it's right in this bit here, the Bale glyphs. Vile magic saturates the glyphs etched into the Famir's weaponry. Wound rolls of a 6 with the Bale glyph weapon inflict double damage. So that's where the bonus comes in for them. Also, they've got this, which is a bonus for that weapon as well. If they're armed with those 2 hand weapons, then you can re-roll hit rolls of 1, which is a nice one as well. So that evens out a little bit between the 2 weapons, I think.
Now, the interesting thing about these guys are their club tails. When you look at the models, if you go back to any Famir Warrior model, and if you just have a look, you'll see just how short the club tail is. You can't even see it, so you're going to have to get a kind of a...
Yeah, you can see the tail a little bit, can't you, there?
It's so small that it's almost like they have to turn round and wave the bum in the air to get you with the tail attack. It's kind of an odd little thing.
It is. They also have unnatural flesh.
Oh, this is great. This is the best.
That sounds like something in your browsing history there. So in your hero phase, any Famir Warrior model that has been wounded but not slain is restored to full wounds.
That is amazing. That's better than regeneration. It's automatic. That is phenomenal.
You definitely want to have multiple small units for that reason, wouldn't you?
That's amazing.
Because then you're maximising the amount that you're going to be able to get back.
It's amazing. It's a shame. It's a shame you can't. Say if you did 3 wounds to my unit of Famirs, I can't just give 1 wound to each one rather than giving 3 wounds to one model. That way, they'd be pretty much unkillable. You know what I mean?
Delicious.
Yeah, they're great. So at the minute, they've only got 2 kinds, haven't they? They've got the Famir Warriors and this Noble.
Yes, at this stage.
But in the unofficial army book, there are lots more interesting monsters and creatures in the Famir range.
Yes, let's talk about those a little bit then, shall we? Since you seem to be the Famir expert around here.
Well, I'm going to have to just get them up because I don't want to be wrong.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll refer to the comments because somebody said something about Hobgoblins possibly being next from Forgeworld if they're expanding the Chaos Dwarf line.
Oh, cool.
Some kind of Hobgoblin. It wasn't Warlord. Where's this comment gone?
It used to be Hobgoblin Khans, didn't they? And they're based on
that might have been it, yeah.
Genghis Khan and that. I like that.
I would like to see the Hobgoblins come back, definitely. And that would add a bit more variety into the Chaos Dwarfs because they are sadly lacking a little bit the current range. They all do look very similar, don't they? Just very armor clad. And there isn't a huge amount to differentiate between the different types of units other than the weapon they have. Skeleton Flower says, Bum Club Attack.
Bomb Club Attack, yeah. I mean, it may as well do a little trump while it's doing that as well. That could be an extra attack.
Mickey Jenber, a twerking attack. It could happen. Let's see. Everyone in the comments was wowed by something a minute ago, but I think it scrolled beyond whatever it was that caused everyone to be so shocked and appalled. Oh, yes, actually, here we go. James McPherson, who asked the Forgeworld sculpting team at the Age of Sigmar Open Day if there were more Chaos Dwarf models coming on their way, and they said yes.
Wow.
Mm.
What more could they possibly need?
Well, other than the Hobgoblins, they don't have a huge variety of units. As I was saying, they only have about 3 types of infantry, I think. The different weapons, maybe even 2. You've got your basic warriors, and then I think you've got the ones with those big fire glaives, I think they're called. So they have options in the rules for other weapons, I think. Or at least they did. I don't know if they still do. But
okay, so
they don't really have models for them.
I have this Famir Army rule book, which was kind of... The layout of these books is exactly the same as 8th edition army books, although they're unofficial. But so there's various types of Famir nobles and warriors, and your basic troopers called a shirl, and they only have 1 wound. And the matriarchal character is called a Mearg. Mir. I don't know how you pronounce that. Meargh. And she's like a kind of a swampy troll hag Famir kind of character. And she has a load of magic spells. And then you have something called Dirach, which is a male spellcaster. And then you've got these little creatures called, instead of Noblars, you've got Boglars. And Boglar is just very similar to a Noblar, very expendable. If these guys run away, it won't affect any of the troops. You've got Moorhounds, hounds that dwell in the swamp. You've got Swamp Demons, Marsh Reavers, and these are kind of like, they're a bit like Chaos Warriors on giant on giant toads. They're good. And then you've got the Fomorians. which if you're a fan of Slain from 2000 AD comics, the Fomorians were his ancient enemy. They're kind of like, fishmen, really. Evil fishmen. We've always been talking about fishmen coming into Warhammer, haven't we?
Maybe a little too much at times.
These could be it. These are tough. They look great. We've got the Fen Beast, which is a kind of like a yeti, but lives in a swamp. And there's all sorts of weird things.
Of all this, though, of all these hideous swamp monsters, if we assume they're going to have a full Forgeworld release of a Famir race, so you could actually field an army, presumably they would want to keep it close to the actual Famir models themselves and not have such wild and outlandish beasts accompanying them, you would think.
Sure. I mean, but there is one here you'll love. It's called the Eye Tyrant, which is basically the Beholder from Dungeons and Dragons and all them, from Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah, the Eye Tyrant.
Yeah, the Eye Tyrant. And this guy is amazing. He has a death ray gaze. He could be great for the Famir because they only have one eye, right? And then you've got Balor, the Eye of Doom. Now, Balor was like the king of the Fomorians, and he's just got this one eye, and when he opens it, this jet of evil laser comes out and just incinerates people. So there you go, mate. There's just some various serpents and weird creatures, but...
Is there anything in there that's a big monster that you can have a Famir riding on?
Yeah, I've just closed it now, so you can't see it. You have to look at it yourself.
Perfect. Well, is there somewhere we can drop a link to that for the people to look after the show?
If you type in Famir Army, literally write Famir Army, there you go.
Well then, Famir indeed.
What you want is the Matthias Eliasson.
Yes, the guy responsible for the Halflings and Kislev and all the other books that were out there for each edition.
That's right.
It's a shame no one's really picked up that mantle and taken it into Age of Sigmar, isn't it? Especially Halflings.
Yeah, he decided he wasn't going to follow Age of Sigmar, and he hasn't quite followed Ninth Age, so he's but he keeps updating stuff, so I don't know where he's at, really. Yeah,
the Halfling project, I think it was called, for Age of Sigmar, didn't get very far, did it? They kind of stopped updating that quite a while ago.
No, I think they probably stopped for a snack, and then that rolled into lunchtime, tea time, dinner time.
I'm sure that had something to do with it, yes.
Yeah.
On the subject of Halflings, though, and while we're looking at this next thing, if anyone wants to drop any comments in there, suggestions for ranges that you'd like to see Forgeworld pick up, maybe something that's a bit more niche than the kind of thing the main studio would focus on, something suitable for Forgeworld. And while you're leaving those comments, I've got something here that we're going to look at. Halfling Skeletons.
Okay.
Now, this is actually a Kickstarter campaign set up by a YouTuber himself. He has a channel and is a long-time commenter on both of our channels, isn't he?
Yeah, anything Halflings, this guy's on it. This guy owns literally thousands of Halfling models. Every Halfling model that's ever been released, and not just one model, but he'll have whole regiments of them. He's got about 100 pygmies.
He has. He goes by the name on YouTube Majestic Feet.
Yeah.
Which, of course, tells you everything you need to know about his love for Halflings. I think he's probably the only person in the world with a Halfling army bigger than Halfling Pete's. And as you can see, it's well past funding already. So the little story behind this, he wanted skeleton Halflings, and he realized that one of his favorite old-time sculptors was available to do commissions, that being the infamous Bob Ollie. And he thought, you know what, why don't I approach him about creating Halfling Skeletons? And that's exactly what happened.
So Bob Ollie created a Halfling skeleton for him.
Yeah, there are multiple different sculpts. And I think the funding has reached the point now where it's got the standard bearer and the musician unlocked, and it's almost reached the free undead chicken, which goes to all pledge levels. Wow. So, yeah, and quite a few backers have gone for the regiment level, which is 20 Halfling Skeleton Archers. The Horde is the next one up where you get 40, and the army level, you get 120 of them. One person's gone for that so far. $180. Now, with the shipping, I think this is located in America, and there is extra for shipping if you're outside of the US of A, I think. All the details on that are on the page, so we'll put a link to this in the description as well if you can't just find it yourself by typing in Halfling Skeletons. I can't imagine there would be too many projects with that title going on at any given time. So, yeah.
That is great. If you get the chance to check out this guy's YouTube channel, he's got some huge armies. Not just halflings, but he's got a big dwarf army, hasn't he?
Yeah, he buys a lot of the old classic,
yeah,
like really old models in bulk, and then he commissions someone to paint them all for him. So he just has these vast armies of old school miniatures.
What's his name? Majestic Feet.
Yes.
Okay, Majestic Feet halflings.
There you go.
He wanted to do a couple of years ago, he wanted to do some collaboration with us, didn't he? It was like a Skype big game with all our models.
I'm not sure, actually. I don't remember that.
I'm not sure how that would work. But, yeah, cool.
Well, yeah, if you're interested in halflings, that's definitely a guy to look at, and a Kickstarter campaign to look at. You can see the greens here.
Oh, they look good. They're all skeletons, yeah?
Yep, these are the greens, the originals. And I think, is it just 3 different sculpts? I think it is there. Oh, let's see here. Let's see if it tells you how many different sculpts there are. Does it say? I think I saw the word 6 somewhere. So I'm assuming it looks like there's 3 done at the moment. I'm not sure if 3 is the total number. I'm sure it tells you in there somewhere, but I don't want to go through and read the entire thing live on the show. But you get the idea with that. Very, very exciting, I think you'll find. So before we go on to our next topic, which is arguably the juiciest thing we've ever discussed on this show, let's drop over back to the comments and see what people are saying. Dreddy says, Bob Ollie is one of my favourite sculptors. Yep, he's one of the old school folks. Mini Warrior says, Bob Ollie rocks. Indeed. Bazooka J. Rambo loves those skeleton halflings. Now, we've had some suggestions for things Forgeworld could do. Bazooka J. Rambo says, a Forgeworld pink horror army. Pink and brimstone horrors to go with them.
Oh, come on, there's enough of them around already, isn't there?
I think they're popular enough that they would get a real plastic GW release. I don't think Forgeworld would be necessary there. Let's see. Retropia TV. I would love to see Forgeworld bring back Warhammer Siege. That would be interesting if Games Workshop don't want to create their own siege engines again, like the old metal ones, which were quite cool back in the day. And they had the big siege tower as well, didn't they? The siege tower and a fortress is something I could see them making out of that new plastic that they make the Age of Sigmar terrain pieces from.
Definitely see that, especially now that there's new fortresses been put out, isn't there? There's chaos fortresses and stuff.
Yeah, they need a fortress with less skulls on it, marginally less skulls. I can accept a couple of skulls thrown in there if you insist, but it does have to be castle first, skull wall second, I think, this time. Let's see what else people are saying. Someone says steampunk beastmen. That's a topic of conversation in there right now. What do you think of that?
Well, the problem
Can you
is,
imagine with the hooves and they've got like the goggles and those hats with cogs on?
Beastmen are completely anti-civilization and industry and making things. So, it doesn't fit their philosophy.
Yeah, but this isn't 8th anymore. The Beastmen have been wiped out. As they were floating around in the nothingness, the mystical Beastmen energies were fused with something that has forged them anew. And it just happens to be steampunk. Beastmen, would they be able to grip pistols? Because they don't have hooves for hands, do they? They have actual man hands
that's right,
on their arms. So I don't think there would be any trouble gripping the weapons. I'm sure if they had to grip them with hooves, that would be another matter. You're not going to be using firearms when you've got hooves.
What about if they did gnomes? Forgeworld gnomes. That's a long forgotten army, isn't it?
The only gnome army I've seen in recent times was converted.
Masters of Illusion, weren't they, gnomes?
Yes, there was an army. They were chaos gnomes made by the Dice Bag Lady.
Chaos gnomes.
Yeah, and they were dwarves given like gnome hats and they were really, really disturbing. I might find some pictures of those in a minute.
Now, I think they could do a halfling army that has gnomes and leprechauns in it. It'd be so cool with different units. The leprechaun could be like, you know, the wizard character. You know, with the big hat on and stuff.
Yeah, let's go with that.
The thing is, right, with Age of Sigmar, because it's a universe, you can't really... It doesn't bring anything in from real life like 8th edition and old Warhammer did. Everything in the old Warhammer world was related to something from our world, wasn't it? Like Hobgoblin Khans, Genghis Khan, you know, the Mongols, right? The Empire, which is based on, I don't know, like Renaissance, 14th, 15th century European armies, right? From Germany.
Yeah, and of course, things in the real world that already existed hundreds of years ago are notoriously difficult to copyright.
Right,
Unlike Stormcast Eternals and Fire Slayers.
Yes.
So, I think you'll like this if you've never seen this before. So we're on the old dicebaglady.net here, which is kind of rebranded as Bad Squiddo Games at the moment, but this is one of the armies that she had a while ago. So, Chaos Gnomes, Hobgoblin, Duck Riders. Hobgoblins riding on ducks.
They look like old Goblin Wolf Riders.
I think they probably are, but they're on ducks, of course.
Right.
She's got Hobgoblin Archers, which are the old goblins. There's some of the really old ones there from the old starter box when they were against the High Elves, and some of the slightly more recent big-headed ones as well. All these hand-drawn banners are amazing as well.
I like that. Is that a purple staircase? Love it.
Then, Chaos Gnomes Hen Rider Khan.
Amazing.
And you can see what it's made from there, a little toy chicken. And one really disturbing feature of this army, a lot of them have bleeding eyes. All the adorable animals, which is quite disturbing, actually. Then this is the Kadai Destroyer, which is actually a pony. Rage quit 3 kilometers that way. Hee 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 hee. And there's the funniest one we haven't got to yet. But Chaos Gnomes, just a general Chaos Gnome unit with a sheep in there as well, with bleeding eyes again.
That banner is amazing, man. They're great.
Then we've got, here it is, the Bale Cow. So you can see that the Chaos Gnomes have just found a real cow, and they've tried to turn it into like a Bale Taurus. You can see they've put horns on it, which are held on by string, and one of them's actually painting the side of it red.
That is wicked. So that's a proper Chaos Dwarf Army then?
Yes.
And she's played with it and stuff?
She took this to tournaments.
That is so creative. Did it win stuff?
I would assume she did okay, at least, because Chaos Dwarves were quite powerful back in 8th, weren't they?
That is so good. So is she like a full-time hobbyist then?
Well, before she got so busy with her business, she was attending a lot of tournaments. I don't think she has much time for that now.
But her business is modelling stuff, no?
Her business, she sells a lot of different product lines. And the main selling point is like the believable female miniatures, which are like women without bikini armor.
Right.
Which, oddly enough, are kind of unique, because whenever most companies come out with women, they're always really, really scantily clad for no real reason. Sheep Tours, which are just sheep in wonderful knitted sweaters. And look at that as the banner as well. Bleeding eyes, kissing a sheep on the lips. Can you get more disturbing than that, folks?
So these centaurs, this is fantastic. And it all leads really up to the next segment of the show, by the way. What's that? Is that the executioner?
This is the Tauruk.
Talrook, right.
Who's wearing a nice sheepskin coat there.
Splendid.
And, oh, there's a giant holding a swan's head with guts hanging out.
Amazing.
And I don't think I've seen all of these. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the Chaos Dwarf.
Yeah, one of those war machines.
Yeah.
And there's the standard bearer. More bleeding eye action. And we're back to them again.
That is absolutely superb.
So, I think I'm not sure if we've ever showed any of those before on the show, but in case anyone hadn't seen them before, I'm sure you'll be very impressed, because they're probably one of the most entertaining armies that I've ever seen out there, along with the Monty Python and the Holy Grail ogres that I once saw. those two are kind of at the top, I think.
Okay, Andy, is it time for what the hell is that?
You know, before we go into the juiciest segment of the show, I think it is time for what the hell is that?
Oh, yes. All right, so what the hell is that? Let me guide you through today's what the hell is that, because it's a little bit different today. So a couple of days ago, my brainwave was this. I ate some green grapes, and I don't know what you call them. Do you call them stalks?
I suppose you could do.
Well, I was watching TV, and I was like twiddling them around a little bit, and I realized that looks like an arm. And I made another one, and then I split the head bit off, and then, hey, presto, there you've got, right to scale, a decent dryad. Now, I could stick a little kind of elf face on that, and then it could be like a tree revenant, couldn't it? Now, this punnet of grapes cost me £2, and I could make probably about 30 of these characters for £2. So you can see I've copyrighted the idea there by putting my name on the top. All right?
Okay, I've seen one potential issue.
What?
One minor issue. Are you aware of the lifespan of the stalks from a bunch of grapes?
Yeah, but it's in theme with the army, isn't it? Because they kind of die away. So it would be like a season special.
Right. So whatever the seasonal fruit is, that's what your army is.
It's a true seasonal army, yeah. And you could kind of like spray it. You could spray it with Chaos Black, right? And then paint over it. It might survive.
I'm not sure whether that would entirely preserve it.
All right.
You are known for having perishables in your army, though, aren't you?
Yes, I am. Okay, so with that in mind, I'm going to show you guys a picture, and you're going to have to tell me what it could be used for, what army. So here's the first one. So let's say you're rummaging around in your attic or cellar, and you come across this baby. I mean, it's an easy one to start with, isn't it? What could you use that for? What the hell is that?
Now, it's quite clearly some kind of rodent wheel.
It is. It is.
And, of course, we've had about 1,000 comments instantly. Just the word Skaven is filling up the chat.
Exactly.
And Doom wheel.
And where do you think they got the idea from the Doom wheel from, hey? Where do you think? Well, I'll tell you where. They got it from this. Exactly, right?
It looks kind of like the peace sign there, doesn't it? Well,
It does. So that's your Doom wheel. All right, that's the easy one. Now, we're going to get to things that are slightly more difficult, all right? So what could I possibly do with this?
are we talking about the man? Are we talking about the comb? Are we talking about the hair?
We're talking about what he's doing. He's shaving, but what can you do with that stuff?
Well, this is interesting. What army could you create from shaving?
Women could do this too, right? So it's like not just blokes.
Okay. So it's not specific to the predominantly male beard then?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, well, here are some of the suggestions we've had. Dino Titan Edition says dwarves.
He's right. He's right straight away.
He offered no explanation, though.
It's great. Make your own dwarves by clumping your facial hair together into a little kind of a mothball. And there you go. Unshaven dwarf army.
So really an army of Cousin It from the Addams Family.
There you go. Yep. And just put a pair of legs on it. There you go. All right. Easy, easy, easy. Cheap army. And that one is actually free. All right. So what have we got here? Okay. It's not that one because I've already shown you that one. Bear with me. Oh, this is a good one. This is a hard one. What about that? Uh-huh. What the hell is that?
So,
army on a budget.
Now, as far as what the item actually is that a blood orange by any chance?
Yes.
Okay, then. So, what can we use that for? Because I am struggling here.
You don't have to use it as a whole. You could use it in parts as well.
Well, that changes things then. Fluffy Dread says Disc of Zench.
Nice. That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that, but there you go.
Gary Waddingham says corn bloodbound.
Yes.
Stu Gibson is actually pouring some cold water on your $1 million ideas here. He says he's not convinced these are actually £1 million ideas. Well, he said $1 million ideas, which, despite the plummeting value of the pound, it's not quite the same thing yet.
Well, listen, this is like not $1 million idea. This is like a cheap idea. This is the whole point. It's free. It's kind of free, right? This is how to create. Everyone's always moaning about prices, aren't they? I'm giving you guys free stuff, free ideas here. Look.
Well, RB says Dark Elves sacrifice cauldron thingy. So I would assume that means cauldron of blood. It might be a bit big for that.
There you go, a cauldron of blood. Just cut a blood orange in half, and there you go. Cauldron of blood. Maybe give it a squeeze so there's like, you know,
they're all sounding eerily like kind of urban legends that you would hear from tournament halls during 8th edition. Someone forgot their cauldron of blood and noticed that one of their like teammates was about to chomp into a blood orange. They said, "No, cut that in half." Right, there's my cauldron.
Well, what about this? The first guy said blood warriors, and you were right. Now, what I would do is, you see the triangles, cut off all those triangles so you've got those in segments, right? And then each one of those can be either blood warriors or blood reavers. They're going to die really, really quickly. So before this thing goes out of date, you'll be able to pop it in your mouth and eat it. So it's not just convenient, it's also nutritious.
Apparently the audience can't actually see it at the moment.
Oh.
I think they get the idea. I can see it anyway.
Can you see it now?
Someone actually says that it looks like, I'm going to word this politely, a Korgorath's butthole.
Well, you know, with a bit of creativity, you could make that into a Korgorath. Basically, anything bloodbound, get yourself a blood orange or maybe a strawberry. Yeah.
So instead of what the hell is that, we were treated to some wonderful money-saving Remington tips there.
I was out of band practice. I didn't get here till 5 minutes before the show started, so I had to, you know, get something really together quickly. I thought I did quite well. Come on, guys. It's entertainment at its cheapest. I did have one more to show you. One more to show you. I think it's the best.
Let's give it a try.
I think it's the best one. Hopefully you can see this one. All right. Let's press screen share. Oh, if I press that one, there you go.
It's always a risky moment with Remington when he goes for the screen share.
How about that?
Oh, there we go. Now that looks like some kind of fly.
Yep. Now these are kind of plentiful at the moment, being summer. But
what is that fly type?
It's actually a flying ant.
Ah. Flying ants. It's quite...
Beast man would love the show, wouldn't he? He'd love
quite it. Perilous when you see those flying ants because you know they're looking to set up their home somewhere. And you don't want it to be in your kitchen cupboard. I remember once when I was a child, when we got back from a holiday somewhere, we'd been away for 2 weeks and we got back and one of the cupboards was full of ants. And it was terrible. Well, let's see what suggestions we've had here. Plague drones, most people are saying.
Everyone's got these straight off. It's brilliant. You know, some people make armies up at stuff, and the problem people have is that no one knows what they represent. But you guys get this straight away. Yeah. Plague drones, right? Just bottle 3 flying ants and, you know, put a little like pin or needle in them, stick them on a base. There you go.
Now, Skeleton Flower says, this is no joke, but I have a friend that has real flies glued onto his Great Unclean One.
That's fantastic. Now, when I was painting with metal miniatures to start with, and I was trying to convert them, it's incredibly difficult to convert metal miniatures. I invariably used to chop into them and then cut my hand. So my fingers would bleed, and then I would put the blood, this is like a nerd confession as well, I'd put the blood onto the weapons of the model. So some of my old miniatures, there's real blood on their swords. It's not like blood for the blood god.
I'm sure a small amount of blood has made it into everyone's miniature collection at some point. Although I'm at the stage with this knife where it's kind of blunted down a bit because I've been using this blade for so long that the chances of me actually cutting myself are quite slim. I've got much more chance of cutting myself either when I change the blade or when I'm drilling into anything with a drill.
Well, I think just before the highlight of the show, which you're going to bring us, we should just quickly do a round of What's Your Nerd Confession. What do you think, guys?
Well, if you want to do the song while people put their nerd confessions in the comments.
Please. I've just told you mine about cutting my fingers and using my own blood for miniature scenic effect. Here we go. What's your nerd confession now? I'd really like to know. What's your nerd confession? Please tell the Andy and Remington show. What's your nerd confession now? I don't think it's very good. What's your nerd confession now? You're gonna take me back to school. What's your nerd confession, baby? What's your nerd confession, baby? What's your nerd confession?
Well, that was an abrupt ending to the song. Right then. Okay, let's see. Mickey Jenner, nerd confession. We're all thinking of colouring our models with Sharpies instead of painting them. Has anyone ever released a range of painting pens that you can use on miniatures?
That is a decent. That's £1,000 idea. That is, Andy. Well done, man. That's not too bad for you.
Could be. It might be more of a beginner thing, but I wonder if it could be done effectively so that it could transfer the paint successfully onto the model.
The Andy Palooza range of paint ball pens.
It would be interesting.
I use cannibals for my ghouls, says Skeleton. I use real cannabis or cannibals for my ghouls.
Real cannibals? Do you have a steady supply of real cannibals where you live? Aren't too many around here. We've got a real nerd confession here from the Wargamer Viking. I used beard hair in some green stuff to make it a great surface for a base.
That's splendid. Fluffy Dread says, my wife only found out I was into Warhammer 2 years after we were married. I wisely kept it from her during our going out time. Well done, Fluffy Dread. That's quality work from you, my friend.
How did you hide it during the honeymoon when presumably you were filing away some mold lines on some plastic models?
I think that's superb work. That is. It's kind of like when you keep in shape before you settle down, and once you settle down, everyone lets themselves go a bit because they're not trying to impress no one.
Well,
Apart
some
from you,
of us are in tip-top condition. Look at that. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, Retropia TV, paint pens exist and are really great. Okay.
Someone stole your idea, Andy.
But I've never heard of anyone using them on miniatures. So if anyone has...
I think, do you know what? Hand on heart, that is a wicked idea. You know, for like, I'm just doing my Savage Orcs at the minute, for painting war paint on them, using a pen would be far better than a brush. And also for painting banners.
There's an interesting one. I know some people that do use pens to do freehand on banners, definitely. I've heard of that.
Mickey Genver says, is that why Rem still looks so good? Thank you, my darling. I am not married, so that's probably why I still look good.
He's still trying to attract a mate at his time of life. Running out of time, to be honest. Old man Remington over there.
No, I'm not that old.
We've got one here from James McPherson. This is quite a shocking confession, actually. I defiled the carpet of Holiday Inn by Warhammer World on Saturday by accident. Are you going to tell us what the substance was, Mr. McPherson?
He was sick, wasn't he? He had too many Bugman's 4X.
Or if he actually clarifies what the bodily fluid was, and if any of the staff from either Warhammer World or the Holiday Inn are watching this show, then they would know it was him that did it, though. And if James McPherson is his real name, he's not one of those people that's got like a code name, like, for example, Bazooka J. Rambo or Skeleton Flower, then he could be hit with a bill at any time.
James McPherson says Moots Green was the colour he used, which is pretty impressive, seeing as Yeah, I accidentally bought 2 pots of moot green. It's just kind of annoying because I hardly ever use it. I could give it away as a prize.
Moot green. I think I've got a really old green that's very, very similar, which is, of course, the old putrid green, which is far better than the current moot green because it doesn't dry up after 2 minutes.
Yeah, putrid green. There was also a undead flesh colour. Rotting flesh. That's what it is. Rotting flesh.
Rotting flesh, indeed. Right, I think it's definitely time that we look at our main event topic for the evening. It's not going to take that long to actually discuss it, but it is very, very exciting. Now, as you know, a lot of people weren't really satisfied with the season of war. People felt, well, there are more people playing Order than anything else, so Order are just going to win all the time. Because if you've got 2 different factions against each other, most of the time Order are going to be represented in that game, aren't they? So even if they lose a little bit more than everyone else, they're still going to be way up on the amount of wins overall, aren't
Yes,
they?
especially some armies which used to be chaos or evil or destruction have been shoehorned into Order.
You've got your Dark Elves. Yeah.
And there was a lot of Dark Elf players, weren't there?
So we've come up with an idea for those people that weren't really satisfied. We're going to be running our own campaign linked to our battle reports. We're going to be running the campaign, and then people participating in the campaign with us will be reporting the results of their games, maybe just 1 or 2 photos for evidence that the game actually took place, and they'll be limited by the amount of battles they can submit as well. And then before and after each game, we'll specify kind of what we're looking for in the battles, like, okay, we want these particular factions to have this goal in mind in the games, so people can have a bit of creativity and a bit of freedom, but they're working within the framework that we lay out. And then the results will shape our battle reports to follow. And the name for this, I'm going to screen share right now. There you go. There is the beautiful image for the Andy Remgate Wars.
Wow.
And you can see on one side there, we've got the Khorne, we've got the Stormcast, and we've got a Wurzgog Prophet there as well, just to show you all factions will be represented in the Andy Remgate Wars.
That's brilliant, man. But so, did you not post the results?
I think you've moved away from your mic there.
Sorry, mate. Did you not post the results of our battles? Because
the last battle we had has not gone up yet.
Destruction won, didn't it?
And as far as reporting our games, I don't believe, if you didn't report them, then I certainly didn't either. But I don't know whether that would have turned the tide, because Order were way ahead in the season of war by quite a margin.
One of our fans post it through. Come on, guys, do something. I'm mad busy here. Andy's crazy busy. Can't you guys do something? Yeah.
But this is very exciting. And the little story that I've come up with here, another realm has opened up. And a portal, a realm gate, has appeared in each of the existing realms that leads into this brand new realm, which is where the battles are going to be waged. So if you wanted to play battles in any of the other realms, like defending the gate, stopping people reaching the new realm, then that's fine. So whatever kind of terrain you have, you can take part. It's not just contained to the realm of life like the season of war was. And within that new realm, there has been discovered a mountain range known as the Andes, of course. And a valuable mineral has been found to lie within these mountains. It is known as Remingtonium, or as the first settlers named it, Remington Steel.
Yes.
So, apparently it's more valuable than your gold, harder than Sigmarite, and it is incredibly sought after. It could allow any one of the grand alliances to dominate across all the realms. If they could claim ownership of this realm, surely that will turn the tide in their favor with this incredibly rare but valuable substance on their side.
Who doesn't want a piece of Remington Steel? Come on.
Who indeed does not want a piece of Remington Steel? Found deep within the Andes Mountains. So, has anyone commented on this so far? Mini Warrior, just have Chaos win. Hey, no. Let's not.
And his brain is amazing, says Mini Warriors.
Well, it certainly is.
Wow. Now, someone's been deleted. Someone's had messages deleted. What?
Well, that's if someone's banned. If someone gets banned or is posting spam comments, that's what's going to happen, Mr. Rem.
To read them, man. I always miss that stuff.
I don't think you really want to see it if it's some horrible, foul, depraved thing. Although this is you we're talking about here, so you never know.
Retro Preserved TV. I want a slab of Rem. Well, I'll happily lay down and let you rub your hands all over my meaty parts.
Well, there's our quote of the night, definitely. So, Legion of One, why is Death not represented on that picture? Well, all the Grand Alliances aren't represented. I just wanted to have like a little showdown just to show you that they're all coming in from different directions. And these are the main ones that we are most excited in as well, aren't they? Because chaos, you've got quite a lot of chaos, you've got a lot of destruction, I've got a lot of order. We do both have death as well, but they're probably not our favourites. But they will also be represented in there. So the outcomes of our audience's games will directly affect what goes on in our battle reports then. For example, if one side, if the Order, for instance, managed to pour a lot of reinforcements through realm gates in the battles that are submitted to us, then that's going to affect what happens in our next game. The Order are going to get reinforcements partway through the game. So I think it's a really nice interactive way of combining our battle reports with the input from the audience and letting them play games basically along with us. And we're actually thinking about kicking this whole thing off, potentially, at what was previously RemCon/Andy Palooza, which could still very well go by that name.
That was just a legendary event, wasn't it? It's gone down in the annals of great Warhammer fun things, and we've taken that forward to the search for Remington Steel.
So we want to kick this off ideally at Warhammer World with a few people, get some games in there, and then it'll spread out across the world. People will be submitting their games. We'll have all the battle reports for it. And then at the end, we want to regather again at Warhammer World for the final shocking conclusion, the final showdown between whichever factions are reigning supreme in this brand new realm.
So when's this happening, Andy?
Well, we haven't nailed down a date yet, but we are looking at fairly soon. There will be dates proposed. If you want to go into the Andy and Rem Show Facebook group, then you can see information there. There is one date proposed on there right now. We're just gauging interest at the moment to see if that's suitable for enough people, because we want to get a few people down there at least to kick it off with a bang. So I think this is going to be very exciting, don't you, Mr. Rem?
I can't wait, man. When are we going to do it?
Soon.
Oh, come on. Can we got anything in mind? Is it in August?
Well, we're thinking early September at the moment. That's the first proposed date.
All right, coolio. Coolio.
Well, very, very excited. I think everyone certainly is in the audience, it looks like here. Hashtag RemCon, says Mini Warrior.
See, people haven't forgotten, Andy.
Mickey Jennifer says hashtag DreadCon. Yeah, DreadCon will be similar, but obviously in Germany.
There's going to be a lot of groupies come to this event, Andy. So, you know.
Quite possibly. Which Grand Alliance will they be playing, though?
Make sure you bare your chest, you know. That's all I say.
Well, well, well. So, Mr. Remington, what have you been working on this week?
I've been going crazy painting Savage Orc Boar Boys.
How many have you got done now?
I started batch painting. I did 2 with the boards, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do the rest in one go. So now I've only got 4 more Savage Orcs to highlight, and then the Standard Bearer is going to take a bit of work. And then I've got to do highlights on about 8 boars. So I think I'm 2 or 3 sessions away from finishing 10 boar boys.
Well, I can tell you
bases. So I've nearly got a big Savage army. I probably need another 20 warriors now, and I've got enough. I'm
going to give the audience a sneak preview of something that is practically finished right now. Now, last week, you will remember that I was working on my Lord Celestant on Dracoth. I've got 2 more Dracoth riders over on the other side of the room that have just been primed today. It's having a lot of trouble with my airbrush, actually. As soon as I put the primer in there, it just blocks up within about 2 minutes. So I have to clean it out very, very regularly, and it's really difficult to prime really large surfaces in a short space of time.
To clean regularly, Andy.
Yes, you certainly must.
Clean your pipes.
Indeed. So this Lord Celestant, the only thing missing from him at the moment is the shield, which came from the Dracoth Riders kit. which is the spare shield, which I haven't painted yet because it's only just been primed. But when that is painted, it's going to be added to him. But when it focuses, here is what he looks like right now. He is finished apart from the shield. Let's get it really close and wait for the camera to focus. Come on. You know you want to focus there, Mr. Camera. Is it going to? Let's get it really, really close.
Oh, the mouth is looking a lot.
There we go.
You've got to do the eyes, haven't you?
I'll get it focused right on me, the old camera.
Skin looks fabulous. Now, the thing with having a black cloak is it's hard to do washes, isn't it? Because it's already really dark.
It is. Let's give it a spin round. You can see that I've done some nice highlights on his cloak there.
Are you going to do some stars on it?
I doubt it, because my Stormcaster are a bit more dark and gritty and flat, aren't they?
I suppose what you could do with the cloak, if you can't wash it, you can glaze it. Glaze the highlights, right? And that will have the opposite of that'll have same effect as if you put a ink shade wash in it, wouldn't it? Another $1 million idea. That armor looks brilliant.
Again.
That front bit looks cool, you know.
Come on, Mr. Camera.
Bit blurry there, pal.
It is. I'm trying to get it to focus again. Come on. I'm trying to show off that front plate.
Yeah, it looks really cool.
I think everyone saw it anyway. So you get the idea with that. We had a nice period of focus there with this wonderful camera. So he just needs a shield now, and then he'll be ready.
This is probably the longest you've ever spent on a model, right? It's taking ages.
It's definitely the longest I've spent on a model for a very long time.
Are you going to spend the same time on the what they're called? The Punishers?
The concussors that I've got 2 of, they're going to be much quicker to paint. Because I've been looking at them, and they have less of the fiddly bits on than this guy does for a start. So they're going to be easier to do. They have less kind of scrolls hanging off them that take a long time. And also I know exactly what I'm doing now. This guy, he just kind of sat there for a really long time, and I wasn't sure how to go about painting it. But now that I know and I've got the idea firmly in my head, I can just fly in there and do them. And if I get them done really fast, then who knows? That could even lead to a Star Drake at some point, because I could paint that in the same style, couldn't I?
Yeah.
So, indeed, I think that would be a lot of fun. Let's see if people are complimenting my paintwork. Mini Warrior says, it looks awesome, love the skin. I'm assuming he's talking about my wonderful skin and not the Dracoth there. Bazooka J. Rambo looks great. Anybody else? Anyone that's praising me is, of course, going to get their comment read out, whereas anyone praising Remington has to go through a very strict filter. Darkbeard89, good job, Andy. Very much appreciated. And I think we've pretty much run the world dry for this week, because it was a very, very slow week for Age of Sigmar. I imagine within the next couple of weeks, we're going to be hit with the next batch of leaked images, aren't we, for the next set of releases?
So I think it'll be another 2 weeks before we see anything new. I do. Hopefully I'm wrong. But it's just bloody Deathwatch, Raven Wing, you know, Dove Wing, Turtleneck, flipping Space Marines, isn't it?
I think before the next show, we're going to hear rumblings of what's next. And then before the show after that, we'll definitely have pictures, I think.
Yeah, I mean, look, they can't just keep releasing new Age of Sigmar stuff every week, can they? Has to be a bit of a breather.
There is a breather, but we expect the leaks to flow quite regularly.
Uh-huh.
So you'd expect someone to let the cat out of the bag between now and, if not next week, definitely the week after.
Has there been any rumours of leaks?
There's been very little at all. I've been to all the regular rumour sites. I've been checking them every day because we do stay on top of the news on this show, as you know. But there hasn't really been anything. It's all been 40k apart from the Famir. So not much at all. I'm really hoping that it's going to be some nice Dwarden next, but rumours are elves are on the horizon.
So we'll just get our 30 seconds of Warhammer 40k out of the way. So you got Warhammer 40k, and there's Warhammer 30k, and that's like 10,000 years before 40k.
Yes, 40k came first, and then they wrote in the whole backstory of how like the universe came to be in the state it's in at that time, which people were really into. The 30k story, which was 10,000 years ago, when like the Space Marines like had a civil war against each other, and people really seem to like having all the 10,000 different kinds of shoulder pads to show which chapter they are, and people are really into it.
So what about Warhammer 50k?
Well, I don't think they have a Warhammer 50k yet, but there is another $1 million idea that they haven't explored.
Absolutely.
Maybe all the Space Marines have been wiped out by then.
I'd like to see the Tau just dominating the universe. That'd be cool. And the Space Marine like are on the run.
Well, how about this? How about Warhammer 40k is actually Age of Sigmar?
Wow. I love it.
Mind blown. I think we should
Copyright.
leave people on that bombshell.
Copyright Remcon 2016. There you go. I said it first.
So, we're going to thank our wonderful audience for joining us tonight. It's been packed all night. We've had over 50 viewers this whole time. I think for most of the show we had about 59, actually, which is very high, considering there isn't any breaking news this week. Normally when there's breaking news, it pushes up the viewing figures a bit. But we are getting our solid regular audience building bigger and bigger. More and more familiar names in there each week. And don't forget, like the video. If you happen across this about 15 minutes after the show, you can leave a permanent comment, because YouTube have messed around and they leave the live chat up for a bit longer now, but it means you can't refresh the page and put a permanent comment in straight away, which is annoying, actually. It's not annoying for Newbie and Mickey Jenber and the likes, because they enjoy the kind of show after party that happens in the live chat. So if you want to stick around for that, for the next 15 or 20 minutes after the show goes off the air and talk amongst yourselves, then feel free. And I think it's time to...
Now, I think, Andy, for the final song, it's always great. The best ones have been when we've had like interaction. So what if everyone who's watching now type in one word, and each one of those words will formulate part of the outro song tonight? How about that?
Keep it clean, folks.
Okay. Here we go. I'm waiting.
Okay, so it's going to take a few seconds for those replies to pile in. With
Okay, Mini Warriors start off. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. Before yeah, go.
Remcon is really meaty. Remcon and his butt cheeks are on the loose like a goose. It's funky, it's a funky Blood King. Rambuck's just born. Superfrolic just killed. Jester, claptrap, laundry, orange pants, boobada 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 lumberjack. At Remcon, you can be a lumberjack with your flaps